So this is a screencast for LIT251, British Theatre since 1960. This is a module which focuses on some of the most interesting new plays that were staged in British theatre between the 1960s and the early 1990s. It's a seminar-based module. The writers and the texts we look at vary from year to year, but often include writers such as Samuel Beckett, Harold Pinter, Carol Churchill and Timberlake Wertenbaker, as well as some that you may not know. Obviously, it's always important to keep in mind that these are texts which were written to be performed rather than simply read. So we'll be discussing issues such as how they might be staged in terms of, say, acting style and design, and how they communicate to audiences, and the effect they might be seeking to have on audiences. We should also think about these plays in relation to what was happening in Britain and elsewhere at the time they were written, and how this might have informed why and how the play was written and perceived when it was first staged. But we'll also be interested in what the plays might have to say to us now, 20, 30, maybe 50 years after they were first written. To what extent do they feel old-fashioned or contemporary? Would we want to stage them now, and why? There are two parts to the assessment on this module. One is a fairly conventional academic essay of the kind you might expect on many modules in the school, though again there would be opportunities to think about the plays from a performance perspective rather than only a literary or philosophical one if you want to do so. The other part of the assessment might seem a bit daunting at first, but it's one that's always been valued and enjoyed by everybody who's taken this module. This assessment invites you to give an oral presentation, usually working in a pair, about your ideas for staging and presenting one of the plays we've looked at in a theatre of your choice today. Now, as part of this, you could choose to perform or to direct others in a short extract from the play, but that's optional and not required. You don't have to do that. So as I said, the teaching on this module is largely through seminars, but we'll take any opportunities there are to see recorded or particularly live performances in Sheffield or beyond. Indeed, I've often been able to include a particular play on the course because it's being staged at the Crucible or at the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds, and quite often we've been able to get a director or someone from the company staging it to come in and talk about it and do a question and answer session. Because we're dealing with texts that are written to be spoken, we might sometimes read extracts aloud in class to get the feel of them, and even do some practical work on a scene as a way to understand it better. But you certainly don't need to feel you're a good performer to take this module, and if you prefer not to do any practical work and just to watch others working, then that's fine and won't be a problem. I'll just end by saying that if you like watching theatre and reading and thinking about plays, then you should certainly consider taking this module. Perhaps especially if you took and enjoyed one of the theatre modules this year, such as LIT180, the Introduction to Studying Theatre, or EGH 101, the Reception and Analysis of Theatre and Performance. Please feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions or want to know more about the module.